Good morning. Good morning. Ooh. All right, I hope I'm live now. I was just live for about, or I was streaming for about 10 minutes straight. And then I looked down and realized that there was a button that said go live, which means that it wasn't clicked. So I was just talking for 10 minutes to nothing and no one. But nonetheless, good morning. Good morning. Ooh. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a sling on my arm right now. Because yesterday I don't have insurance, so I'm not going to go to the doctor, so obviously I can't get an x-ray. So I can't say 100% for certain, but I'm pretty sure that my arm is broken. And my brother had this sling from when he hurt his shoulder. So it's not, it's the top of my forearm that I believe is broken. And this sling that I'm wearing is for a shoulder. So it's not even for the right body part, but I don't have insurance, so I'm not going to go to the doctor. And I'll talk about how I broke my arm, and I'll talk about more about this in just a moment. But first, I want to read a poem that I wrote yesterday. Mandy Kwong, good morning to you as well. It's good to see you here. I'll talk about why I broke my arm, or how I broke my arm, rather. It's crazy. It's insane. But first, I want to read this poem that I wrote yesterday. This is the state of mind that I was in before this whole ordeal happened. What are you afraid of? And I want to see the transcendence. I want to see the light. I want to remember the music in the garden. Oh my goodness, the music in the garden. The colors come back into the flowers. Before, everything seemed gray. Oh my God, there was no difference between this or that. One thing wasn't better than another. And so, how can you rise out of sin? Is sin anything more than the decision to accept a lesser good over a greater? Vexed. Vexation to choose that good. You know it's good, but it's not great. And because the cost of that good is the better, vexation. Even the least steep spiral, the most gradual decline, is still a decline. Oh my God, I praise you. Please allow the colors to stay with me. Please allow my heart to be discerning and vibrant, that the light may shine forth, that I may know the difference between right and wrong, that I may have the courage to do what is right. Oh my God, how much of my life has been stolen by the future? Oh my God, how much of my life has been stolen by lust, a passionate desire to have what is not mine? Fervency. Oh my God, let these desires wither away. My God, let me not be tormented. My God, graft me into the tree of life. The fire of life, burn away the lesser. The fire of life, bring forth vindication. My God, not that I may be vindicated to others. My God, that my faith may be vindicated to myself. And I remember the place of life. Let me always remember the place of life as I remember my baptism. Let the place of life reverberate all the days of my life. Graft me, my God, into the place of life. Be with me. And that's a poem that I wrote yesterday before this whole ordeal happened with my arm. That was the headspace that I was in. And then one more thing, I wrote a variation of that same poem, so I'll read that in a moment as well. TJ Yao, good morning. God bless you, brother. It's good to see you here. Mandy said, I'm so sorry to hear that you are not going to see the doctor. It won't be expensive here in China. Yeah, Yeah, it's okay. I'm not too worried. I mean, what's going to happen? I wouldn't be willing to even get surgery if there was a situation that needed surgery. I wouldn't want any of the painkillers that they would offer me. So the only thing that they would potentially do is put it into a different cast. So I'm not too worried about going to the doctor. All right, I'll tell you though about how it actually happened here in a moment. TJ Yao, no, I don't have health insurance. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not going to the doctor. I'm currently unemployed. I currently don't have a job. I just moved to a new town. All right, here's the variation of that poem, though. What are you afraid of? Not getting the things I want. Oh my God, how painful to cling to something that isn't mine. How painful to be attached to something that isn't yours, a life that isn't yours, a person that isn't yours, a future to which you don't belong. Oh my God, how can I let go? Let me be grateful for this day, the one that you have made. Let me not hold my treasures for a day in the future, a day I've created, a day I've imagined, fantasized about, a day that doesn't exist. Oh my God, let me trust in you. My God, let me hear your voice. Tell me only what to do today. Let me know it is you speaking, and in your voice I will trust. And when I hear your voice, I will seek nothing more. When I hear your voice, I will hear a melody. I will remember the vibrancy of colors. Oh my God, I remember the music in the garden, the day before the colors left me. Everything blossomed in harmony. So that's a variation of that poem. And I wrote both of these yesterday before this situation happened with my arm that I'll get into in a moment. But the thing that was on my mind and on my heart when I was writing these is the problem with desire and the the difficulty of letting go. Because people often talk about letting go. People often talk about the pain of holding on to things that aren't actually good for us. And for the most part, excuse me, if you were detached from everything in this world, if your heart was only on God and you had no attachments in this world, I think you would always be fulfilled. I think you would always be at peace because you wouldn't have any fear. You wouldn't have any desires. You wouldn't be afraid of losing things because you wouldn't be attached to anything. And you wouldn't desire anything because you've let everything go. And so you wouldn't want anything more. You would be at peace. And so it's good to always let go and not be detached to worldly things. But it's actually not always clear how to let go. Like literally, how to let go. How do we let go? And I've been thinking of Job. Been thinking of Job lately. Because I'm not saying that my life is like Job, but sometimes when things start to happen that are outside of our control, and whether or not they're horrible or you just perceive them to be horrible, and like I wrote in that poem, it doesn't matter how steep a decline is, it doesn't matter how gradual the decline is, a gradual decline is still a decline. And so if the days in your life isn't getting better and it's getting worse, even if it's just barely getting worse, that is still a brutal place to be. That is a very difficult place to be. And that's the place that Job was in. I mean, Job was at the furthest end of the spectrum. His life kept getting unfathomably bad. It was the worst version of a gradual decline. It wasn't even gradual. It was just loss after loss, loss of family, loss of um, financial stability, loss of farm, loss of physical health, loss of friends. He lost everything, but he kept his faith in God. And the reason why I say all of that is because we all find ourselves in similar situations as Job. It may not be that. It may not be as um, dramatic and as grand as what Job experienced. But we all go through periods of our life where it feels like we're living the same day over and over again, and we can't get ahead and we can't find wins. But Job, the thing that Job did is he kept faith. And part of the issue with that story, I think, in my opinion, is that because he kept faith, everything that he lost was restored to him. He gained back everything that he lost. So in a way, he didn't really lose anything because he gained it all back. But I don't think that's where his hope was. I don't think that's where his faith was. His faith was in God. His hope was in God. But I don't think his faith or his hope was in God restoring in this life, in this physical world, everything that he lost. Although it's an Old Testament story, I think his faith was, I think his heart was in Jesus. I think his heart was in resurrection. I think the treasures of his heart, his faith, his hope, his hope was for eternal life. His hope was to enter the kingdom of God. His hope had nothing to do with what he could gain in this world. His hope was greater than this world. And I say all of that because I know for a fact sometimes people, I feel like Job sometimes, I know a lot of people feel like Job sometimes, and don't let people tell you that your life isn't that bad, because the worst thing that you've ever been through is the worst thing that you've ever been through. And have gratitude, be grateful towards God, but don't let people gaslight you into thinking, into believing that you should just be happy all of the time, or that your life isn't difficult. It's all a spectrum, but everybody's life is difficult. And the part of the good thing about difficulty, though, is it's an opportunity to grow faith. It's an opportunity to trust in God when things seem darkest. Anyway. TJ Yao said, it's better to have less and be broke poor than it is to have a bunch of things that cause you problems. True. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you, Angelica. God bless you. Hope you are doing well this morning. All glory to God. True. Vincent, welcome. It's good to see you, Vincent. Good to have you here. I actually really appreciate what Guitar Golf just said. Good morning to you as well, Vincent. Good to have you. Guitar Golf said, people view you as weak, though, in those situations, and will try to blame you that it's your fault. Yeah, that's part of the challenge of it. That's actually just what makes everything. That's what teeters life into being kind of hard to being almost unbearable. Because what you're alluding to there, guitar golf. Somebody let me know also if the volume or whatever gets bad, if the audio starts to go bad, or if I move too far away from the mic. People view you as weak though in those situations, and will try to blame you that it's your fault. Yeah, that's something that I struggle with because at the end of the day, I know who I am, and I know I'm not perfect, but I have made mistakes for sure, and I've been forced to learn. But I there's a certain problem in always trying to find someone to blame. As in Guitar Golf said, people view you as weak though in those situations, and will try to blame you that it's your fault. That is very true. People do that. But if I listen to them and then I'm like, oh, you're right. Let me blame myself for my life circumstances, or you're being rude to me, you're being mean to me. Let me blame you for the way that I feel now. It's a downward spiral, and I think sometimes the lesson to be learned is that sometimes there is no one to blame. Like things just happen, and w- part of the issue with blaming people and letting people gaslight you into claiming that you're weak, it's like that would be assuming that you know what's good and you know what's bad. And so I will talk about this now because it's literally the perfect time. It's the perfect segue to talk about what happened to my arm. For those who are just joining, I have a sling on my arm right now because I can't know for certain because I don't have insurance, so I'm not going to go to the doctor and get X-rays. But I'm pretty confident my arm is broken. I mean, both arms are in really bad shape, but my right arm is in much worse shape. And the sling that I'm wearing isn't even for. It's not for the part of my arm that's messed up is like my upper forearm, and this is for a shoulder. So it's not even a sling for the right body part. It's just a sling that my brother had. Um. So yeah, but what happened? It's actually crazy, and I know this is strange for me to say, but it's actually beautiful. It's so it's strange. I was riding my bike to my family's house. I'm staying with my family right now in a town, and all of my family live in this one small town. So I could just ride my bike to anyone else's house, anyone in my family. And so I was riding my bike to my nana's because my younger cousins were there, and my cousins are all like below the age of 7. They're young. So I was riding the bike across town to go see what they were up to. And the moment that I pull up to their house, I see them all outside hanging out. And so I reach my hand up to wave. I can't even my arm is in such bad shape I literally can't even reenact it. It was my right arm. But this is my left arm, and I raised my hand up to wave at them. And the moment that I raised my hand up, I have a I have a like a chain, a bike lock that I rest on my handlebars. That way, when I ride the bike to places, I can lock it up and go inside the store or whatever. So I raised my hand up to wave at them, and the moment that I raised my hand, the bike lock fell off of the handlebar and went into the front tire, and it completely locked up the front tire, like just in a moment's notice. It was an immediate lockup, not gradual, immediate. And truthfully, I mean, it happened so quickly. I kind of blacked out for a moment, but next thing I know, I'm flying over the handlebars, and it's a it's a bike that has straps for your feet and the pedals, so your feet are kind of trapped on the pedals. So my legs were contorted. I was flying over the bike did a front flip over the front tire, like the back tire went straight up into the air, and I caught myself with my I broke the fall, so I didn't hit my head with my hands. It was my reaction, and it was a good reaction because worst case scenario is that I hit my head. So again, it happened so quickly. I kind of blacked out for a moment, but I just know that I caught myself with my hands, and next thing I know, I'm laying under the bike, completely trapped. I'm trapped under the bike because my I got the pedals with the feet straps, and so I couldn't get my feet out of the straps, and the bike is just laying on top of me. And my family, my nana and my little cousins, again, my cousins are all below 7. One of them is like a 2-year-old baby, and they're like, "Oh, that guy just wrecked his bike. That guy just wrecked his bike." And then they're like, "Oh." Then they realized it was me, and they started coming out to the street, and I was trapped into the bike still. And they again, they're young children, so they were like, I finally got myself out from under the bike, and I tried to walk it off. So I was walking around in my nana's yard, and my 3 cousins were just following me around, like trying to play. Essentially, they had a I don't want to say the word of what this is because it's a menial thing. For some reason, certain things can get you in trouble for no reason. But like the thing, if you know poppers, throw them on the ground and they pop. Essentially, that they had the poppers and they were uh, throwing the poppers at me. And I was just walking around in circles with my arms hanging, my elbows hurting so bad. And I was just like, please, give me 1 second, hang tight, give me 1 second, because they didn't understand the seriousness of it, and so they were just trying to play. But yeah, and now my arm, both of my arms are in horrible shape. This is this is the better arm. Like this is the arm that I can actually do things with. But my right arm is in really bad shape. And the crazy thing about all of it is truly, I know this might make me sound like an insane person, but I feel like that was God talking to me. I feel like everything that happened there was God talking to me. I know that sounds kind of insane, but time started after all of that happened. Time started to move in like a weird way. Time was going really fast, and I was in a trance. I kind of didn't know where I was at for a moment. Maybe I did hit my head. I don't think I hit my head, but I feel like God was talking to me because right away I was like, "Oh, what is this? Hurts so bad," but the pain wasn't affecting me. The thing I was thinking about is, you got to think, uh, the way that I spend my days right now is, I exercise a lot. I train outside. I write. I've been reading the Bible like it's my job. Um, I walk outside. I ride the bike around. So I'm doing a bunch of physical things, and the the thoughts that started to wash through my mind, that started to cycle through my mind, I was like, I can't really write now. My like my right arm is messed up. I can't write with a pen and a paper. I certainly can't do that. Maybe I could type, but it would be really really slow typing. But and I just don't know what it is. But there was like, despite the fact that I just flipped over the front tire of my bike, I was grateful, and I was like, oh, that's God talking to me. That's God talking to me because I ask God what He wants me to do all of the time, and now sometimes things occur in our life that force us to do something, even if it's what we wouldn't have expected. And I I never wreck my bike. I don't really break bones or things like that. And this one-off crazy scenario messed up both of my arms, and it's going to force me to. I can already tell it's going to force me to slow down. I don't have another option but to slow down. And it's so funny because yesterday's live stream, I recorded about how I deal with anxiety, and I was talking about the fact that I was anxious. And God's like, "Oh, you're anxious? What are you anxious for? Well, how about this? I'm going to slow everything down, and then your anxiety is truly going to be for no reason, because you need not do anything more than to be still and know that I am God." Because I just don't have another option. It was painful to sleep last night. Like my right arm is so messed up, it was painful to sleep. Um, I brought my recording equipment outside, this microphone and laptop and things like that. It took me an hour to get this stuff out here because um, my laptop is too heavy. My left arm can barely carry my laptop. My right arm can't do anything, dude. My right arm can't even open a doorknob. Truly, it's crazy. Life gets hard sometimes, but it's kind of funny as well. This is a real thing, but sometimes life gets so hard. Sometimes life becomes so bad that it truly does go full circle, and how bad life is and how ridiculous it is, it goes full circle, and then it becomes good again. Like I was laughing quite a bit yesterday of just how absurd all of this is. Just how absurd, how ridiculous I must look, uh, not being able to like get out of a bed. I have to swing my legs forward because my both of my arms are so messed up. I can't push against the bed with my arms, so I have to swing my legs up. Anyway, I'm laughing with you, man. Ha ha. I'm glad you good. That really though. Hope your arm isn't broke, dude. Yeah, I hope it's not broke as well. But I don't know. When things like this happen, it's a variation of a healthy man wants 1,000 things, and a sick man wants only one thing, which is to be healthy. When both of your arms are messed up, yesterday I was anxious because I was a healthy man who wanted 1,000 things, and now I'm a man with uh, two arms in excruciating pain, can't really do anything with them, and I want one thing, which is to be healthy. And I don't know why, but it gives me a certain ecstasy. Like it makes me ecstatic. It makes me so grateful. It's kind of insane, I know, but anyway. My whole family has isolated me because I went through a period of time helping my brother for 7 years, then got sick and moved. It's sad that you can serve and then just be crushed. My whole family has isolated me because I went through a period of time helping my brother for 7 years, then got sick and moved. It's sad that you can serve and just be crushed. So your family is isolating you because you were helping your brother for 7 years, but then you got sick and moved, and it sounds like they didn't like the fact that you got sick and moved. Is that what you're saying? Sorry to hear that. TJ Yao. said it was 100% God talking to you through this experience. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. What was he saying? What was he saying? I don't know. Part of it is that it's kind of beautiful to part. There's a lot of reasons why when something happens like this, it's you can find a lot of beauty in it. And one thing that I was thinking about is life is short, but youth is much shorter. Our life is short, but our youth is much shorter. And in the way that I was perceiving myself yesterday is I was laying in a bed, and then I had to throw my feet forward in order to get out of the bed, and it made me realize that I'm most of the time I kind of take for granted um, my own ability to move, my agility, and my ability to quickly do things. But as we get older, we certainly become more frail at various points of our life. We start to lose our strength and our speed and just our ability to be agile and um, nonchalantly do certain things. And as you get older as well, your body isn't as it's not as forgiving as it once was, and you do something like fly over the front handlebars of a bike and end up breaking both of your arms. I don't know. It's crazy though. It it just reminds you of the direction that I. It reminded me of the direction that I'm going. It reminds me of the direction that we're all going. We are. Everybody is growing older. God willing, we all live to die, or God willing, we all live to be old men, old women. But regardless, our youth isn't going to be with us in this life forever. And I don't exactly know what to do with that information because that isn't to say that you should recognize the brevity of life and recognize that your youth isn't going to be with you forever and then frantically start to try to accomplish things. I don't know exactly what it means. Just to not take for granted the gift that we all have. We all have various forms of the gift, but there are some people who, one way or another, have lost body parts. They've lost one leg, two legs, one arm, two arms. Some people have lost all of their limbs. Some people never had any of their limbs. And it's important to not take for granted what we do have. Right. Right. Do do do. So now everyone will say you are lazy because you are injured. Guitar Golf, all because you were being friendly. Hope you get better soon. I actually really like Guitar Golf's comments. It's reminding me of certain things here. There's something I want to read regarding kind of relative to what Guitar Golf just said. Do do do. Oh no, no. The camera's shifting. I like to get a little bit of the outdoors in the frame because it's pleasant. It's beautiful. All right, so Guitar Golf said, so now everyone will say you are lazy because you were injured. It's so funny. Uh, there are people in this world. Let's just be completely. Uh, let's be blatantly honest. Let's be very transparent, very straightforward. There are people in this world who essentially pray for your downfall. There are people in this world who they might not look to God and say, "Hey, this individual right here, God, please, I'm praying for this individual's downfall." But truly, everybody knows this to be true. There's people in this world who in their heart is malice, in their heart is ill intentions, in their heart they look at you or they imagine you and they don't want what's best for you. To want what's best for you would be to love you. Sometimes people in this world hate us and they genuinely want what's worst for us. They would love nothing more than to see us fall. They want to see our downfall. And I know that there are people like that relative to myself. There are people like that kind of in the real world, and they want to see me fall and then maybe like hit my shoulder or hit somebody's shoulder and point at me and be like, I knew that would happen. I knew that he was insane, or I knew that he was any myriad of negative words. I knew that he was destined for failure. Whatever. Happens in the real world, but it happens online like crazy. And I've been in a spot where I've made risks, or I've taken risks, and I've made sacrifices, and I had a well-paying job, and I bought a house, but then I sold the house and bought a van in order to live out of a van. And the decisions that I've made and the risks that I've taken to build a life that I want to live hasn't paid off in the way that I initially imagined or hoped that it would pay off. That isn't to say it hasn't paid off for the best, truly. I think it has. It didn't pay off the way that I would have wanted it to pay off, but it paid off. God is with me. God has guided me. It paid off in a way that was better than what I could have hoped or desired. But nonetheless, it's taken me to a crazy situation where I was living in a van, got sick all of the time, living in a van, mold in the van, completely isolated from people, lonely, in and out of states of depression and anxiety, and kept going forth and kept my eyes on God. And then my van breaks down and I have to travel across the country to stay with a friend, and then I get evicted from staying with the friend, and then I have to then I stay with a different friend for a week, and then I ride my bike over and am staying with family, and I can't really find a job here. There's really not opportunities here, and that's fine. But then I'm riding my bike just to wave at my cousins and my nana, and the moment I wave, I do a front flip over the bike and break my arms. And I say all of that because I know for a fact there's people who want this to break me. I know this for a fact, and it's fine. And it doesn't affect me either way. It's not like it drives me to know this. But if I'm not aware of it, maybe if I'm not aware of it and then I become aware of it, it would shock me and terrify me and make me sad. But I am aware that people in their heart, they want me to fall in real life and online. And also online, they certainly want me to, they want my life circumstances to not improve. because I think some people get catharsis from my life. Like, I'm very transparent about the things that I'm going through and I've been through. And if I start to get momentum and I start to rise out of this place, they don't like that, because the life that I'm living right now and the difficulties I'm going through, they can look at my life and be like, well, this is them talking. They're looking at my life and they're like, well, I don't like my job and my life isn't good as well, but at least I don't have this guy's life. So I think it gives people a sort of catharsis, and so they don't want me to rise up. They want me to keep failing. But we shouldn't worry about what people think of us. We shouldn't worry about pleasing people. We shouldn't worry about mortals. And so that was kind of a tangent, but the reason why I say all of that is to answer what Guitar Golf just said. So he said, so now everyone will say that you are lazy because you were injured. And here's in my deep gratitude that I felt yesterday after wrecking my bike and flipping my arms and then being in a trance of gratitude, I read this psalm, and it I don't know, I love it. It inspired me. It's Psalm 118, a song of victory. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. Let Israel say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let those who fear the Lord say, his steadfast love endures forever. Out of my distress I called on the Lord. The Lord answered me and set me in a broad place. With the Lord on my side, I do not fear. What can mortals do to me? The Lord is on my side to help me. I shall look in triumph on those who hate me. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to put confidence in mortals. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. The Lord is with me. I have no fear. What can mortals do against me? The Lord is with me. I have no fear. What can mortals do against me? So if we worry about how people view us or what they can do to us, why would that concern us? Because then it's like we're seeing all of life in the wrong way. Fear not the person who can destroy the body. Fear the one who can destroy the soul. Keep your eyes on God. Very true, Guitar Golf. Guitar Golf's coming out with some fire comments. Sometimes people like to keep you where they want you in their mind. Zach Savage said, do you have days of utter despair? Yeah, I will talk about that, actually. That's a good question. Let me read some more of these comments. Sakura said, James, hello. Wish you recovery. There are simple decisions for complicated people. Do you think there are not enough online stuff or teachings regarding this thought? Just to help people grasp this. Regarding path with God, of course, such as you pointed about gratitude, life levels of lack or prosper goods and such. And of course, my best wishes with your arm, dear friend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sakura, I would, what do you mean when you say there are simple decisions for complicated people? If you could elaborate on that, I'll talk about that more. Vincent said, it takes strength to be gentle and kind. Guitar Golf said, you aren't a failure, man. You have lived. Thank you. It paid off in the way you needed to pay off, James. Absolutely true. The most important thing, it brought me closer to God. Angelica said, "Yeah, James. I also had to deal with a lot of jealous people, and I even don't know why they are jealous. Bad childhood. My sisters are all jealous and prayed for my downfall. God bless them. Yeah, God bless them for sure. The journey from homeless to becoming more and growing. Let me ask you guys a question if you guys know the answer to this. Am I allowed to play any music on this live stream or will I get in trouble? Let me know if anybody knows the question. Jake Fraser from India, I remember you. Good morning. He said good evening. We say good morning. It's 9:45 here. Let me know if I can play some music. I'm gonna go. I have black coffee. Okay, Zach Savage, and I'm gonna answer your question as well because that was a really good question. I'm gonna go refill this coffee, but it'd be cool if I could play some music in the meantime. As in, it would be like I'd be gone for like 2 minutes, but just to have some nice music playing. With my arm messed up, I don't really have anywhere to go today, so I might just live stream all day. Good morning. Ooh, ooh. Good morning. I'm trying to bring up a different window. Sometimes I can share my screen in this live stream, but I don't. We're learning in real time. I was looking at BQ said the vid will get demonetized if you play copyright music. I don't actually don't monetize any of the live streams. The reason why I don't the reason why I don't monetize the live streams is because I think my channel could get in trouble with things that are said in the chat. And so if I don't have a moderator for the chat, then somebody could come in here and start trolling and saying some crazy things, and then the channel gets in trouble. And I would like to earn money from creating content, yes. But what is most important to me is that I get to create the content. I really like having this channel. And my channel is monetized now, and I monetize the other videos that I make when they're not live streams, when they're just actual videos. And that's good that I want, but if I had to choose between being monetized and earning money from the channel, I again I would like to earn money. My life is in a crazy situation and I need growth. But regardless, I'm just grateful to have the channel. I'm just grateful that I get to do this kind of stuff. So I wouldn't want to, I guess all of that to say, I wouldn't want to monetize it and then put the channel at risk of getting brought down. Forgive me, I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen, because then we can start to do some other things. We can get really, really crazy in a good way if I can share my screen. Ooh. All right. I did this before. I mean, I was if you look back on my channel, I think it's still there, but I used to actually live stream like 2 years ago to nobody. just myself, and I would mainly be browsing the internet and just talking about things that I was browsing on the internet. So I have done this before, but I can't remember how to do it, how to share. I'm in OBS Studio, by the way. Let me try one more thing, and if not. All right, I'm gonna come back and start reading the chats again. I can't figure out how to share the screen. I'm gonna go fill the coffee up. Hopefully you guys hang around. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and I'll try to get these dogs as well. Pain. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. How's the volume? All right, let me start reading some of these chats. Is this volume good? Now you can learn to be left-handed. Yeah, Mandy Kwong, that is actually what I'm doing. It's it's kind of crazy. I usually play chess at night. I play chess on my tablet or my oops. I play chess on my tablet. And usually I'm using my right hand obviously, but last night I had to do it with my left hand. And it makes you real I was playing a little bit differently. Same brain, different hand. I went from using my right hand to my left hand. And just using a different hand, it's like it makes you use a different part of your brain. Let me fix this setup really quickly here. The microphone's too far away. Ah, yes. There we go. There we go. How you go from Jesus walks to I'm God? Yeah, Kanye West is I don't know, he is kind of out of his mind in a lot of ways. But Good Morning is such a great song. It's always in my mind on beautiful days in the morning. James, how will we find you again if your channel gets taken down? I could maybe give you my Twitter or something. Maybe I'll start to post my Twitter. Or I was also thinking about starting a Discord. And now that my arm is messed up, maybe I have more time to do things like that. So I'm grateful to God. Because I know this happened for a reason. I know this thing with my arm happened for a reason. J-Dad said, "Hey bro, what's the most amazing thing God has done for you?" The first things that come to my mind is I would have to say two things. Relative to myself, the most amazing thing God has done for me is forgiven me. I'm truly forgiven, and I try to talk about this, but I think some people who either don't have faith in God or are who don't have faith in God or are pessimistic and cynical internally, I think they don't realize the importance of forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness coming from God. And there's been times in my life that I've done wrong and I've sinned, and then I try to forgive myself, but you literally cannot forgive yourself because you're the perpetrator. So how are you going to forgive yourself when you did wrong to yourself? How are you going to forgive yourself when you're the perpetrator and the victim? It doesn't work, and it throws you into a deeper spiral and it makes you vexed. But the most important thing, or the most beautiful, the most amazing thing God has done for me is forgiven me and allowed me to be known that I truly am forgiven. Jesus Christ died for your sins. That's the most amazing thing God did for me and did for you. But also in a more tangible way, man, I've prayed for people who were going, oh, it's crazy. I've prayed for people who were going through hard times. And the way that I work is if people who I care about are going through hard times and they're suffering and they're struggling, it might as well be me it's like worse than if I myself were suffering. Because if it's me that's suffering, I know that I can always handle everything. But if it's somebody that I love, somebody that I care about who is suffering externally and or internally, I feel that very acutely all of the time and I can't escape it because I don't really know why. But you want to help them, and sometimes you don't really have the ability to help, so you pray to God. Man, it's crazy how often God has answered my prayers, especially when I've prayed for people that I care about, that things in their life could change. And often I've prayed for people very close to me, and not only has then my prayers been answered, but then the person who was going through a hard time came out the other side and they were closer to God. So then it's crazy because God took a bad thing, the person's turmoil, the person's struggles, suffering, and he made it good. He used it as a way to bring them closer to God and bring them closer to peace and bring them closer to eternal life. And that's a tangible miracle that God brings about in my life. Like God has literally done that for me. I pray for people and my prayers get answered, and other people could experience that and they could say, well, I prayed and the person got better or what have you, and but the prayers were just a coincidence. The prayers didn't have anything to do with the person's actual healing. You can think that way, but I think that's false. I think prayer is powerful. That's why God is with me. Pray that my arm heals, please. Pray that my arm heals, please. Angelica, TJ Yao said, Angelica, you have the fire you have for God because God intended for the others in your family to catch on fire too. But sometimes instead, they end up resenting us, rejecting us, and pushing us away. Sakura said, regarding question about complicated people, more like that it probably requires personal teachings, help, empathy. For people reading the word, for example, but can't quite get it. So are you saying, Sakura, that people look towards God and they try to gain more wisdom within themselves, and they try to grow closer to God, but they can't comprehend like the Bible, and so they need somebody to take the Bible and make it simpler for them? Is that what you're saying, Sakura? Jake Fraser says, what does it take to be great? And Jake Fraser also earlier said, did you journal today? No, this is the first time in a long time that I didn't write this morning because my arm is messed up. Both of my arms are very messed up. And I could, that's part of what I think God was telling me to do, to take a break from writing. Because I write every morning. Every morning of my life I write, no reprieve. But that can become a little bit redundant. As in, sometimes we have a good habit such as writing, but then sometimes in the morning, that's when I write. Sometimes in the morning, I'll write because it's my habit and I'm going through the motions, but I'm not really pouring my soul into it. So I think one of the opportunities of what has happened with my arm here is God giving me an opportunity to say, hey, I know you love writing. I know writing fulfills you, but you need to take a break from writing and let it be known you're not weak for taking a break from writing. You're not abandoning the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Your arm is messed up. And now you have no other option but to take a break from writing, and the break that you take from writing will be good. Oh, here it is. I was looking for this comment. Zach Savage. Zach Savage said, do you ever have days of utter despair? Let me know if you're still in here, Zach Savage, and if you are, I'll answer that question. Jake Fraser said, can someone guide me? Can someone guide me? How can I deal with lust? Yeah, that's actually such a good point, what Vincent just said right there. I agree completely. Well said in a short amount of words as well. Jake Fraser said, can someone guide me? How can I deal with lust? And Vincent said, Jake Fraser, personally, what helped me is to learn the beauty of marriage, learn how lust ruins that beauty, and how each person is an image of God. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Uh, to word this in the most vanilla way possible, I think when people talk about lust, there is a huge problem with people getting on the internet and watching fornication. So I say it in that way, but I think you know what I mean. what they're watching. They're watching other people fornicate, and it's like, dude. And then I understand why it's a snake that wraps you up, and it's probably hard to get out of. But if you want to free yourself from that sort of lust, you have got to open your eyes. You have got to open your eyes, and you've got to open your heart to love, because what you're not watching some. If you're watching people fornicate on the internet, you're not watching something consensual. You're not watching something romantic. You're not watching something resembling two individuals or a bunch of individuals, depending on how depraved it gets, who are in the image of God. You're watching. What is that? One of the most depraved things that exists on this earth. I'll say that. There's so much. In order to get. All right, I don't even really want to talk about it so much, but there has got to be terrible, terrible things happening off camera in those situations. And so many people struggle with lust and that sort of lust, and it's like, dude, I can't stand when I see people who are like content creators, and it used to be so prevalent with comedians, and they're like, you can watch it and that's trivial and it's not a big deal. It's like, dude, it is the worst deal. It's one of the worst things that exists. It's not at all innocuous. It is terrible. Yeah, right. But anyway, that's a very good very good response, Vincent. Vincent said Jake Fraser, creation started as a husband and wife in a garden. A family is God's most beautiful creation. Marriage is the earthly representation of the heavenly union between Christ and his church. Yes. It's a weird thing to ask, Angelica. Is this punishment with your arm of God? Did you laugh at someone? Nah. It's a strange thing to ask. You cannot defeat lust without Jesus Christ. That is number one. He gives me the strength to overcome. Yeah, very, very, very interesting question. Very, very good rhetoric happening with Vincent in the chat right now. He said, Jake Fraser, then you must answer the question. Who do you say Jesus is? I like that question. James, I set up a Discord community for this channel. Do you want to be the owner of it? If you could put the link to it maybe in the comment, that might be something that I would be interested in doing. I couldn't say 100% one way or the other right now because I haven't really done research. I don't know too much what it's about. But very, very possibly, Mandy, and I appreciate your initiative. Very possibly. Vincent said, Jake Fraser, do you want to get married? If so, start loving your wife now in each moment to become the best man you can be and save your purity for her. Lust isn't as hard to overcome as it seems. Yeah, why? That's a good point as well. Why do you guys think, whether you believe lust is hard to overcome or it is not hard to overcome, why does the world act like lust is very hard to overcome? Guitar Golf, have a nice day. Much love. You as well. Vincent, who do you say that Jesus is? You said what helped me most is to first find out who Jesus truly is. Hindu says he's an avatar. Jesus says he is God. Both contradict each other. So either one is right or both are wrong. True. Jake Fraser said, Vincent, I don't have a wife. I'm just 17. Yeah, I don't have a wife either, Jake Fraser, but I think part of what he's getting at when he was saying, if so, start loving your wife now, is if you do want to get married and you do eventually want to have a wife, start living that way right now. If you do want to get married, and God willing, you do end up becoming married, that means you have a wife who's out there. You guys just aren't married yet. And would you want her to be living completely recklessly? Would you want her to be indulging in lust all of the time, or would you hope that despite the fact that you may not even know your future wife yet, she's respecting you in the anticipation of becoming married? That would be good if she did that. The wife who you're not married to yet, and the wife that you may have not even met yet. And so if that's what you would like for her, you should do the same thing as well. You should become the man that you need to be worthy of being her husband. Elizabeth Svensson said, Jesus, the only way to heaven. Have a nice day. Vincent said, I think the siren analogy is the best way to understand lust. Once you're captured by its beauty, it's impossible to resist. The world doesn't know the method of avoiding the siren's call. Not beauty, deception. Yeah, true. When you talk about the siren analogy, are you talking about the, what is that book called? What is that book called? Not Odysseus, I don't think. Odysseus is the character. Maybe the book is called Odysseus. Are you talking about that? The sirens in that story, or something different? Druppy Drub said, do you believe what's meant for you will always find you? Yeah. Yeah, it's I can't remember what it might be Odysseus that what the book is called. It's about the crew are going to a certain island, or they're coming back from a certain island. They're trying to make it home, and then right before they make it home, somebody opens up the bottle of winds, and the winds send them across the world, and they go far away from Greece. Greece is the place where they're trying to make it back. And in order to make it back to Greece, they run into a lot of issues, and one of the issues is the sirens. And the way that you deal with the sirens is fascinating. The way that they deal with the sirens in that story is fascinating. There's several ways that you can deal with the sirens. When you pass the sirens, they are beasts. They are going to devour you. But they sing a beautiful song, and the song puts you into a trance, deceptive song. And the song puts you into a trance, and the trance makes you see the sirens in a way that is beautiful rather than what they truly are. And so if you hear their song, you're going to see them in that way, and you're going to be tripped, and you're going to be tricked, and you're not going to be able to help yourself. You're going to go to the sirens, and they're going to devour you. And so the way that Odysseus handles the sirens, there's three different ways. One way is that, oh, okay, yeah, it's all coming back to me. Odysseus tells his crew to all cover their ears, to put, I want to say, candle wax or beeswax or something like that in their ears, so the crew members can't even hear the sirens. And so because they can't hear their song, they see the sirens for how they truly are rather than the deceptive view. But Odysseus is like, well, I'm just curious, and so I want to hear what the songs sound like. But I don't want to be devoured by the sirens, and so chain me up. And so his crew chains him up. That way he can hear the sirens, but literally doesn't have the ability to go over to them. So it's fascinating to relate those two. There's one other pathway as well. I'll talk about that, but it's fascinating to think about those things in terms of lust and temptation, because those are different ways that you can deal with lust. The lust is like a whisper in your ear, temptation, and the crew covers their ears. The boat crew covers their ears so that they never even hear the siren song, and because they don't hear it, they're not tempted. But Odysseus chains himself up, and so he hears the song, but he doesn't have the ability to go over them, so he can't be devoured. But there's a third pathway, which is, in my opinion, the way. When dealing with lust and temptation and things like that, this third pathway is the most powerful, which is that there's a different crew of individuals, or I can't remember if it's a different crew or if it's still Odysseus's crew, but at a different point in the story. They have singers on their boat who are actually singing beautiful songs. So the sirens are singing fake beauty, but they have people on their boat who are singing true beauty. And so the temptation of the sirens, the deceptive song, never actually causes a blindness in the people passing them, because the people passing them are actually listening to true beauty. And so they aren't tempted. They see the sirens for what they truly are, because they're actively intaking true beauty. And you can think of that in terms of the first pathway. To cover your ears is to like put yourself in isolation and to avoid participating in the world so that you're not tempted. The second pathway, which is to chain yourself up and hear the siren songs, but not have the ability to go over to them so that you can't get devoured, is like if somebody was an alcoholic and they wanted to go to the bar and they wanted to drink, but they didn't want to drink so much, and so they tell the bartender, like, hey, give me one drink, but no matter what I tell you after this one drink, do not give me another drink. And so it's like tempering themselves. It's like outsourcing temperament. Because you're chained up, you can't do anything. But the third way is, I think, the most powerful, because we have a yearning for beauty. And because we have a yearning for beauty, that's why the siren songs are tempting, because although they're not truly beautiful, they're deceptive, but it does fill a hole that is inside of us. It fills a yearning that is inside of us to be intimate with the divine, to be intimate with true beauty. But so rather than pretend that that doesn't exist, pretend that we don't have a yearning to experience true beauty, just experience true beauty. Listen to songs not that inflate your ego, but that are objectively beautiful. Like Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. Uh, 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 oh. Oh yeah, yeah. That's right. Mandy said in Homer's Odyssey. Yes, thank you. Uh, 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 uh. Jack C said, "I'm still waiting for the story about the sirens of Ocala. I don't know if I have any stories about sirens in Ocala." TJ Yao said, at the day ahead, James, I will keep praying for you, your arm and job opportunities, that God makes a way and opens a door for you, brother. Appreciate the time you spent with us today. I appreciate you as well, TJ. Yeah, it's always good to have you in here. If that means you're leaving, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. And it's always good to have you in here. Vincent said, Zach Savage is still here. I'd like to hear the answer to his question about despair as well. Yeah, there's been days of utter despair. There have been days of utter despair. Man, I mean, truthfully, you asked that question. That was Zach Savage's question. He said, have you ever had days in utter despair? It's not like I um, populate my mind with thoughts of answers to that question and I can't find anything. I'm like, which one? Dude, I've had so many days of utter despair because of tangible things that have been happening, but also just like internal states of being, which is maybe even worse when you just feel like you're in despair and you have no idea why. Mm, but I will say that despair is often despair and negative emotion. It's an amazing thing to realize that the things that happen to us actually are usually not that bad. I just they're bad. They're not good. You don't wish them upon other people. But what makes everything worse, and really maybe the only thing that makes anything bad to begin with, is the way that we respond, especially internally. Especially if we allow ourselves to go into dread and despair and panic and anxiety and anger and wrath and all of that. But I'll tell you a very literal story of a day that I was in despair. When I was living in my van in Ocala, I it was probably August. It was August of last year, August of 2024, maybe July, maybe even June. So roughly a year ago. And there was uh there was a day that I woke up so sick, like, oh man, it was crazy. This is crazy. I woke up so sick, and I had I had a girlfriend in Ocala, and I I felt like I was taking her for granted. I felt like I couldn't give her the attention or the relationship the attention that it needed because of the thing that I'm trying to pursue in my life and the risks that I'd taken and the overall position of my life. And so I essentially broke up with her, but we remained friends. And then a few weeks later, I get so sick, and I'm trying to think of how to say this in a way that's appropriate, but I'll just say that for no cause, there was nothing that would have caused this, but below my waist was swollen. It was swollen below my waist. And dude, it was 100. It was literally 100 degrees, and I lived in a van, and my van was black, and I had nowhere to go that was inside, and I had to go to a job. I was working at a coffee shop. I was working at Starbucks. Never really talked about that on here before, but that's where I was working in Ocala. And I actually don't even like Starbucks like that. Like I like different types of coffee shops, but some parts of it were terrible, but some parts of it were actually really great. I met really good, great people, colleagues, but also customers. Grateful. So I had to go to work on this particular day, and I was so sick. All of my body was aching. All of my lymph nodes were swelling. Below my waist was swollen. Brutal fever, body aches, chills. Had just broken up with my girlfriend a few weeks prior. Very much regretted it because not regretted it, but was in despair because I loved her. And I was curious as to whether or not I made the right decision or the wrong decision. And I was like, sometimes it kind of feels like we're going through life and things are happening to us and we're making a decision, but it's like, how did this happen? I love this woman. And like, it's like, I didn't really mean to break up with her, but I somehow broke up with her because of my life circumstances. And now it feels like my life is drifting away from me. And I'm sicker than I've ever been. I've got to go to work later today. There's no reprieve for my health. I can't go inside and get any air conditioner because there is no inside for me to go. And truly, it's not that I didn't want to. It's not that I did it. It's not. How could I say this as well? It's not that I didn't want to live anymore, but I truly was like, dude, this burden is too heavy. I can't even finish this day, let alone the future days. Like, there's not one part of my life that is good. Every part of my life is such a brutal, heavy burden. It's all so brutal. I can't take this. And there's no reprieve. There's no AC. And it's hot and I'm sick. And my heart is hurting. And I feel guilty and I feel sad. And called my mom and I cried to my mom. She listened to me. And then I called the girl who her and I had broken up. And she invited me over to her place literally just to lay in the air conditioner because I was so sick. And her dad was a doctor, and he's like, dude, it doesn't matter that you, uh, I didn't have it. Again, it's just a crazy, crazy life. I didn't have insurance. And so he's a doctor, and he's like, it's so true what he said. He's like, it's the middle class who can't go to the doctor. And right now, you don't have anything. You live in a van, you don't have any assets. Poor people can go to the doctor. Rich people can go to the doctor because they can afford it. Poor people can go to the doctor. They can go to the emergency room because even if you can't pay the bills, what are they going to do to you? You don't. You literally don't have anything. So just go. You. I had a bad infection. I needed antibiotics, and I don't even do antibiotics like that. But he's like, dude, you've got to go to the doctor. You've got to go to the emergency room to get antibiotics, or this is going to get bad. And And I discovered that I had mold in my van. And so every night I was sleeping with mold. And so on that day, I was just, dude, I mean, it's unfathomable despair. It was crazy, crazy, crazy despair. And I can talk about it like this right now and I can laugh about it. But on that day, dude, I was being tormented and there was nowhere for me to go. Physically, mentally, I was in such bad shape. Emotionally, I was in bad shape. In my spirit was just hanging on by a thread. And I was like, God help me. But as so often happens, God did help me. Cascadian, good to have you here. I'll talk about what happened to my arm. I told everybody here a moment ago, but I'll tell you as well. Give me just a moment. Did Zach Savage, if you are still here, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? That was an answer to your question. That was a day that I was in pure despair. And Simon's Diamond Soul, it's great to see you as well. I love the fact that we're getting some. There's a core group of people, and I appreciate you guys. He said, "Have you ever considered being a barman, James? But it's not an easy job. I tried it and failed. You need both social skills and also very good dexterity." Hello, James. Just joined the chat. Hello, Diamond. Hello, Simon's Diamond Soul. Yeah, I've kind of considered being a barman, but I also don't. I don't know if I want to be serving people liquor and alcohol. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Plus, there actually are no. I'm in a crazy spot, man. There's no bars actually around me, so it's not an option. There's no bars or restaurants. I'm on an island surrounded by cornfields. Do 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 do. All right. Cascadian said, "My brother, what happened to your arm?" Yesterday I was a wrestler in high school. I played baseball, wrestling, and football. I'm in my hometown right now. My high school team, one of my really good friends is now the coach for the wrestling team. So I was going to go to their practice and maybe wrestle with them and hang out with them. And so I was riding my bike, not to practice, but to my Nana's house. My Nana is my grandma. Because my young cousins were at my Nana's house. And they are all below the age of 7. So I was going to go hang out with them and see what they were up to and just see them. And literally as I'm pulling up to my Nana's house, she just lives a few blocks away, I reach my right hand up to wave at my Nana and my cousins. And I have a bike lock, and I hold my bike lock on the handlebars. And I use the bike lock, so if I go into a store, if I go somewhere and I need to lock the bike up, that way I always have it on me. And so I keep the bike lock on the handlebars, and I hold it with my hand. And so when I reached my hand up to wave, the bike lock just fell off the handlebar and it went into the front tire. It was crazy. It went into the front tire, just like no, there was no gradual slowing down. The second I reached my hand up to wave, the bike lock went straight into the spokes, stopped the front tire on a dime, and all of my momentum kept going forward. The front tire stopped completely. The back tire went up, and I flipped over the bike. And it's a bike where the pedals have straps for your feet. And so I was trapped on the pedals, and I used my hands to brace myself so I didn't hit my head. It was a reaction. And I mean, I'm like 190 pounds, 180 pounds. Plus, I had a bunch of momentum, and so but my arms took all of my weight plus all of that momentum right into the concrete, and my left arm kind of hurts. My left arm, it's more than kind of hurts. It hurts really bad, but compared to my right arm, it's okay. And so I'm pretty sure that it's broken. I'm pretty sure I broke my right arm, my upper forearm, but I can't know for certain because I don't have insurance. So I'm not going to go to the doctor and get x-rays, but I've got this sling that was my brother's, and it was for his shoulder, but I'm using it for my arm because it gives me a little bit of reprieve. And yeah, that's what happened to my arm. It was crazy. I was trapped when I flipped. I was trapped under the bike. I couldn't get myself out from under the bike because my feet, one of my shoes fell off, which is crazy. My shoe fell off, and I was trapped under the bike. And my cousins and my nana ran out to the street. And at first they were like, "Oh, that guy just fell on his bike." And then they got closer and they realized it was me. And my cousins are really young, so they had those like poppers, like firework poppers, I'll say. And so they were like, they didn't realize how serious it was, so they were like, follow. I finally got myself out from under the bike. My elbows hurt so bad, and I was just walking in circles in my nana's yard trying to walk it off, and they're following behind me, like, "Are you okay?" Throwing poppers at me, throwing poppers at me, and that's what happened to my arm. That's what happened to my arm. But I do feel like that. I know it sounds insane, but this is what I was talking about earlier. I truly feel like God speaks to us in mysterious ways. And I certainly didn't make it to wrestling practice yesterday. My whole day completely changed and honestly kind of changed my life a little bit. But I feel like in a way it was God talking to me and it was God telling me to slow down. And time started to move really strange. There was like a subtle gratitude in my heart. I don't know why. It was weird. I wrecked my bike and I was in so much pain, but there was laughter in my heart and gratitude in my heart. I can't really explain it. Do, do, do. I don't know if I can control the chat from here, but I can't have. One second. I'm going to answer your question, Jake Fraser. That's a good question. Great. Now I got to get my tablet, my iPad. Do, do, do. Sorry, I have to block this individual for what he just said. Because if I don't, it won't be good. Ah, dang it. One moment, please. Here we go. It won't let me. Oh, here we go. I have to block this individual because of what he just said. And it's not even so much what he said, but it's how he said it. Because it's going to get the channel in trouble. But it won't let me do it on my computer. Simon's Diamond Soul, let me know if you're going to hang around for a little bit. I'll make you a moderator. If you would like that. This is annoying. The thing I'm trying to do everything I'm doing right now is to try to delete this guy's comment, and I can't figure out how to. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. Thank you. That's what we need. I appreciate you. Glare removed his comment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cascadine said, well, my brother, I pray that you have a nice, speedy, fast, natural recovery, because trust me, I know how expensive it is to go see a doctor nowadays. It's ridiculous. I admire how calm you're handling it. Yeah, I was, one thing I'm trying to work on is Clyde said, how can you drink a drink but not food a food? English is fake, I think. That's a good point, actually. Simon's Diamond Soul, I'm so happy to see you again after a while, James. These lives really help me staying positive. Well, that's good to know. That inspires me. That motivates me to keep going. I appreciate you saying that. But that comment was insane, but Glare, I appreciate you removing the comment. That's very mature. I appreciate you. Yeah, in regards to what Cascadine said, I admire how calm you're handling it. There was a pretty cool documentary that I watched, I think on Friday or Saturday night. It's a documentary. It's called Paradise, and it's about a man named Joe Hollis, if you guys have seen it. I know it was a joke, Clyde. It was a funny joke. I'm not laughing, but I'm a dry person, so I don't laugh out loud all the time, but I know it's a joke. This documentary, Paradise, it's about a man named Joe Hollis. And Joe Hollis started a kind of like a community. He was building a garden at the bottom of one of the tallest peaks in North America, at the low point of one of the tallest peaks. And he was just living off grid. He started it in 1972, I think. So he's been doing this for 53 years. And the documentary is showing his life and the way that he's been living, and But something happens at the middle of the beginning of the documentary, which is that he goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him that he has an illness. I think cancer. I think it was cancer. And the doctor says you have 4 months to live. Like you're not going to live longer than 4 months. But what was profound about it is there's a scene where he's calling. I don't think it's a lawyer. He's calling somebody and he's trying to get his affairs in order. And he says something. His vibe, the way that he's conveying himself and his emotions is he's almost like arguing with this person in a kind way, in a kind and gentle way, arguing for more time and saying that he wished he could just get like one more extra month to make sure that he's got everything in order. But the thing that was so profound about watching that conversation and watching his emotions is that you can't get one more month. It doesn't matter who you argue with, what human being you argue with. There's no man that's going to be able to give you more time. When your time on this earth is over, it's over. And you can't argue for more time. Your time is done. And he said something interesting. He was talking about how he had negative emotions at first, and he had a little bit of anger. He had a little bit of anxiety. But he realized that was essentially the only thing that he couldn't do. As in, if he cultivated those negative emotions, if he allowed that anger to fester inside of him, it was going to take away the little life that he had remaining. And I think that's true for, it doesn't matter if you're somebody who's in that position where you're an old man, you're in your 80s or 90s and you're at the end of your life, or if you're a 30-year-old person or a 17-year-old person or a 50-year-old person. We all have a limited amount of time. And in the grand scheme of things, relative to the age of the earth and especially compared to eternity, the amount of time that we all have left for anybody, it's not very much. None of us have very much time left. But that's fine. The issue comes when you get frustrated about that fact, when you allow yourself to be angry and fight against that fact, and you, in futility, in a desperate attempt, you try to gain more time, but you can't. But what you can do is, you're alive right now. You can let go of the negative emotions. You can appreciate the time that you have. You can look into the eyes of the people around you, the people who you love, the people who are there for you, and the people that you're there for, and cherish them and appreciate them. And there is a day ahead, and so we can all be alive today. So that's what I'm working on, Cascadine. I say all of that because he said, I admire how calm you're handling it. The only way that it would be a bad thing is if I let it. But it'd be better to keep my eyes on God. Do you know David Goggins? If so, did you admire the way he speaks? I have admiration towards David Goggins. David Goggins David Goggins, his first book, Can't Hurt Me, it's a really good book. I appreciated reading it. The place where he trained was on the Monin Trail, and that's where the Monin Trail was literally a block away from the house that I lived and owned in Indianapolis. And I used to train on the Monin Trail as well. The thing about David Goggins, I'm not. Sometimes even good things, if you indulge them too much, if you put all of your eggs in the basket of things that are potentially good, you can turn good things bad. And he can do whatever he wants, but there does reach a point where it's like, what are you trying to prove, and to who? Running hundreds of miles, I think sometimes it comes off as, what are you trying to run away from? And his balance is not my balance. Everybody has a different life balance that they need to achieve. But if you're somebody who's just destroying your body arbitrarily, running these races, and you're angry about it, like, he's got a lot of vitriol. I don't know who the vitriol is towards, but he's clearly got a bunch of vitriol, animosity in his heart. I don't know. For me, I think it would be better sometimes to let those things go. Sakura said, James, personally glad to know you. As fellow jobless and kind of stuck somewhere in desires, glad to know and reflect on your life that you are open about it. Thanks. Do you know about Joey the Gypsy on YouTube? I think he's great. No, I don't know Joey the Gypsy. Angelica said, James, you begin to tell us your stories over and over again. I think I need a break from the day ahead. Plus, you can't tolerate constructive criticism where one stone grinds against another. God bless you all. Yeah, God bless you as well, Angelica. I only ask that you keep that same energy. I only ask that you keep that same energy. If that's how you feel today, feel that same way tomorrow. Don't say, just keep that same energy. Sometimes you say mean things to people in comments, and I don't know what it's for. Blair said Joey the Gypsy is homeless and his YouTube blew up from telling his stories, giving tutorials and streaming like you. Good luck with your journey. Thank you. What is your story to tell, Simon's Diamond Soul? If there was a way, I don't know how to do it, but if there was a way, I would invite you onto the chat and you could tell it live. You could tell it with your voice. What kind of tutorial videos do you mean? Jake Fraser said, I think, James, you should start some tutorial videos for us. What kind of tutorial videos? Do, 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 do. How's life in India, Jake Fraser? How are things over there? Especially relative to maybe what you perceive when you watch my videos and how life seems over here. What is the difference in India? Do 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 do. Glare said, "Your ability to stay positive despite everything is your standout quality. I appreciate you." I'll tell you the truth. The hardest thing to stay positive about is when people lash out at you. It's unfortunate, but that's what Angelica's doing right there, lashing out at me for no reason. You got to think I'm just there's not really like a lot of money being made from, even now that my channel is monetized. It's not like I'm earning a comfortable living. I'm just pouring my heart and pouring my soul into creating because it's what I love to do. So I'm giving people all of me. I'm giving people everything of me. And so when you say something like out of the blue saying plus you can't tolerate constructive criticism, it's like, what are you even talking about? But all I ask is that you keep that same energy. Just always keep that same energy. Since January 2025, God is compelling me or telling me every week to go visit another city, a particular city which is called Three Rivers. So if God is insistent on this, I will go there this summer. What is the city which is called Three Rivers? Is that Jerusalem? This is the city where my last grandmother was buried, so I will go there and draw angel statue in her cemetery. That's good. TUMQ what said, looks chill to me over there. I hate living in Seattle. I'm looking to move ASAP. Well, as soon as I can, this city is messed up. They hate Christians. Why do they hate Christians in Seattle? And what makes you say that they hate Christians? What have you experienced over there? Clyde said, I don't know why, but James, you are acceptable in my heart. I appreciate you. Thank you, Clyde. You're acceptable in my heart as well. Jake Fraser said, India is large, populated country, corrupted politics, so much of unemployment. Many people come from northeast to south, northeast to south India for jobs. India is rich in culture, food, family. Many people in India settle over the world. Yeah, there's many people from India. There's many people in India, and there's quite a bit of people from India living in Ocala when I was down there. There's a book that I really like about a man traveling to India, and he's not a Christian man, and I don't agree with him. I don't agree with everything that he says, and I don't agree with his overall worldview, but I do appreciate some of the things he said. His name is Ram Dass, and the book is Be Here Now. But it's about uh, him basically going to India to discover a simpler, more spiritual way of living, and the way that he describes the the village that is on a mountain where he went. It's beautiful. It seems like somewhere I'd want to go. Jake Fraser said, "Do you know Osho?" I don't believe me. I've heard of Osho, yeah. Jake Fraser, what do you think about Hinduism? You said Hinduism has many gods and people worship many gods. What do you think about the fact that people worship many gods? What do you think about that? Is that right or wrong, or are you indifferent, or are you uncertain? Do 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 do. Psalm 6. Prayer for recovery from grave illness. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, or discipline me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are shaking with terror. My soul also is struck with terror. While you, O Lord, how long? Turn, O Lord, save my life. Deliver me for your sake of your steadfast love. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who can give you praise? I am weak. I think I'm. Hello. Hello. Hello.